You shall not pass!
Hi there, this is the Critical Advocate, and today's review is for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. The Rings of Power's showrunners are John D. Payne and Patrick McKay. I'm not really familiar with their previous work, except for their screenwriting gig on Star Trek Beyond, a film which, from what I've read on the internet, was by and large well received by fans and critics. Should their track record justify Amazon dishing out a whopping $1 billion in favor of the story that is being told here, which, by the way, makes it the most expensive TV show ever made? Well, let's find out. The Rings of Power is based on Tolkien's novel The Lord of the Rings and its appendices. The show is obviously trying to capitalize on the success of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy of films, which are undisputedly not just one of the greatest films ever made, but perhaps the greatest fantasy films ever. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I have rewatched these films countless times, and I wouldn't be surprised if I keep rewatching them till the day I die, because they are truly timeless. I watched the movies as a kid who did not fully understand the world at that time, but I was still fascinated by the crazy visuals and the funny Gollum character. In my teens, I was enthralled by every character, their friendships and the story arcs. And as an adult, I became obsessed and extremely moved by the world of Middle-earth, its history, strong lore, and beautiful yet poetic dialogue burned into my memory forever. So when it was announced that Amazon was working on a prequel series set in the Second Age, more than thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, I was hyped and excited to get back into Tolkien's world of Middle-earth, filled with magic, adventure, elves, hobbits, and other mystical creatures. The showrunners said that The Rings of Power is its own thing, set in the Second Age, thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Morgoth, the original Dark Lord before Sauron, is dead and gone, and Middle-earth is going through a time of peace. But in the backgrounds, there are shadows scheming and whispers of the return of a dark evil by the name Sauron, and only Galadriel is sure that Middle-earth may be in more danger than ever before. The show is trying to cover the events that led to the creation of the Rings of Power, basically the prologue narrated by Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the first film, where it is said that there were a total of 20 rings. 3 rings were given to the race of elves, immortal, wisest, and fairest in the land. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls, and 9 were given to the race of men who above all else desire power. But in secret, the Dark Lord Sauron created 1 ring to rule all the others. In that ring, he poured his malice, darkness, and used it to dominate all life forms. Amazon spared no expense on the Rings of Power with an insane $1 billion budget. And it does really show, because the visuals are outstanding. The set designs, the costumes, and cinematography is delivered on screen with a mix of practical effects and CGI. It really does look gorgeous. The music, for the most part, is good, but it obviously does not compare to the original trilogy of films, even the Hobbit trilogy. The actors do a great job for the most part. The standouts are the performances by Robert Aramayo, who plays Elrond, who you might remember as the young Ned Stark from Game of Thrones, and also Owen Arturo, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He's the dwarf prince Durin. Their banter and friendship has the charm and chemistry comparable to the friendship between Legolas and Gimli. I really enjoyed those bits of the show. However, I was very disappointed to know that the show would not cover the events of the First Age, the time of Morgoth, the original Dark Lord who was Sauron's mentor. It seems like a missed opportunity. And to be fair, we have not seen Sauron's origin explored on screen either. And as much as I'd like to watch it, I feel that Sauron's story has already seen 6 films to himself. The original trilogy of films and the Hobbit trilogy does him service because his threat level is felt despite him not appearing in his full physical form, which really made you realize the high threat level and power that Sauron brings. Even the thought of him appearing in his full physical form instantly made you shit your pants. He's been well taken care of, so it would have been nice to see Morgoth for a change. I have a problem with prequels. For me, the prequels never make you feel the stakes or any danger for some characters because you know they will survive. Prequels are great when they tell stories we have not seen before, flesh out the characters and the lore in an important way, and if you are going to beat to the same drum as before, making sure that the original characters are respected and not ruined needs to be the priority. Is the Rings of Power mindful of any of those things I just mentioned? No, damn it, it's guilty. I don't understand. How could Amazon do this? Who is this show made for? Why do we need to see this story play out? Did I ask for this show to be made? Did you ask for this show to be made? Tell me, are you the spawn of Sauron? Are you Sauron's accomplice? Tell me. Now. Beep. Look, before I start bashing the show and its elves with modern haircuts, I do want to clarify that the cinematography, some of the sets, the costume designs, the practical effects on those orcs, some of the music, although barely touches the original trilogy, is amazing in some instances. I understand that the books and the original films are so beloved that it would be hard to make any new innovations. However, did the showrunners even try? How is this better or could match anything that came previously? Let's just bring out the guilt counter. At number 1, we have bad storytelling and dumb and unlikable characters. Trust me, I tried my best to keep an open mind and imagine this being the fantasy show of this generation. But no, from the very first episode, your excitement will fizzle out, as visuals can't save the obviously bad storytelling. Yes, there are many plot lines, but there is no plot development in any of them whatsoever until the later episodes, and even that is unexciting. The story just starts jumping back and forth between these plots, yet nothing really moves forward. Overall, it becomes a boring snooze fest. None of the characters experience any growth or character development. Everyone is just so unlikable, except for maybe Elrond and Durin, and maybe Adar, played by Joseph Mavi, who brings a lot of charisma to the role. Morfydd Clark, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but she plays Galadriel, who is supposed to be the main character in the show. She was okay. I wish she was less stoic though. She literally has the same face expression in every situation. If she is unimpressed by what is happening, then why should we? They even managed to show the once lovable hobbits, they're called Harfords in this show, being complete a-holes towards each other, talking about leaving no one behind yet leaving some behind. The characters make some stupid decisions, which makes them seem dumb for the story's sake. We can speak more on that in the spoiler section, the timestamp for which is below. Number 2, too many plot lines and pacing issues. There are just too many plot lines, yet they feel empty and hollow. The stories drag, making time pass like a kidney stone. We must sit through a slugfest of 8 episodes to watch Galadriel, the most powerful and wisest being in the Middle Earth, perhaps only second to Sauron, to play with swords instead of using her magic. I do like how she says, Sauron, Sauron. I did not see her use magic or any sorcery during this season, and it really is a betrayal to her character. Remember the scene where she goes apeshit in The Lord of the Rings when Frodo offers her the ring? Where is that Galadriel? She is resorted to being a conspiracy theorist, wearing a tinfoil hat, blabbling about Sauron's return, yet no one believes her. Is she a proven liar before we meet her in the show? Why is no one believing her? What the hell? It's because Amazon wanted a story, so they try to sell this idea that she is consumed by revenge for her brother. We also meet the Númenóreans, who are an unimpressive bunch that live on an island of Númenor, gifted to them by the Valar for their aid in the war against Morgoth. Isildur, who is not even supposed to be alive at this point in the Second Age, and is born a little more than 1,000 years after the forging of the rings. I get that Númenóreans live long, but they don't live that long. Plus, he looks nothing like the Isildur from the original movies, and does not even remotely resemble any king-like qualities. Alright, this is a much younger Isildur who still needs to grow, right? Well, his character takes on no growth throughout the season. At the end, he is left worse off than how he began. We unfortunately also have to sit through a female Frodo and a female Sam as they discover a strange man that falls from the sky, who looks like Daniel Bryan, who is later hunted by this Eminem-looking woman. The once lovable hobbits from the original movies are just plain assholes towards each other, although the actresses portraying the female Frodo and female Sam do a great job. Their plotline, however, quickly loses its charm as they spend just wondering, is this stranger good? Is this stranger bad?
You need to be a good person. Good people do good things. No, put it down. Bad people use knives. No, put it down. Put it down.
There is also a plot involving the dwarves and elves that goes very erratically. Although the interactions between the elves and dwarves is the best part here, the plot enveloping the interactions has too many fake outs. No spoilers, but for instance, the elves engage the dwarves for a specific job. The dwarves are like, no. Then they say yes. Then during the job, the dwarves discover something, and then Elrond and the dwarves make a promise to each other. Elves need some help then later on, and they break the promise. The dwarves say no to the help, but then they say yes, they will help. And then when they do help, they say no again. What is going on? There is also a plot involving a human healer and an elf. Their plot takes place in the Southlands, whose inhabitants were once upon a time allies of Morgoth. After Morgoth's demise, the elves watch over them to prevent any rebellions. Anyways, the elf and the healer investigate strange activities that lead them to discover orcs making tunnels underground and shit. The healer has a son who acts like a complete idiot and is very unlikable, with his caterpillar on his upper lip and that Willy Wonka haircut. So Galadriel's story arc also involves her meeting this character called Halbrand, who is essentially Mr. Attitude. Most of the time, you're like, why are you even here, man? They really do try to make him look like Aragorn and give him that importance, but I'm like, boy, you will never be Aragorn. You ask yourself, is he so important to the plot, and why? And when you do get to the point where you get the answer, you're like, meh. At number 3, we have bad dialogue. There is some awful and bad dialogue in this show. None of the characters have anything profound to say or anything that sticks with you. Like there is a point in the show where a character's intentions are being questioned and all he can muster up is, I'm good. I couldn't believe my eyes and ears. What am I watching? The original Lord of the Rings had such great dialogue, but instead we get this. Then there's this dialogue. Just take a look.
For centuries they have swept across crag and crevice, washing away the last remnants of our enemy. A spring rain over the bones of a dead animal. Spring rain over the bones.
Dead animal. At number 4, we have no epic battles. The show has no epic battles. The Lord of the Rings films are the forefathers of epic large-scale battles. For instance, the Battle of the Helm's Deep, the Battle of Minas Tirith, for example, and there is nothing that even tries to do what the films did. Yes, there is one that is referenced to against Morgoth, but it is in small flashbacks and stills. Maybe you can count the battle in the Southlands at the end of the season as one, but it's not epic, nor is it impressive. What was the budget spent on? Alright, the visuals are cool given the $1 billion budget, but you wouldn't even notice that until I told you this bit. At number 5, we have a bad twist. So the whole show, you are wondering who amongst these peeps we are watching might be Sauron in disguise. Sauron the Deceiver, the shape-shifting sorcerer, who likes to take on guises of nice and trusting appearances. Well, by the end, when they reveal it to you, you are like, we knew that from before. Trust me, you would know and guess a mile away who Sauron is. You will realize that the biggest twist that the show can pull off is just horrible writing. Also, the way the rings are made is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Remember, this moment is the reason why this show was made. When you find out exactly how some of the rings were made, you will be shocked. It's so shockingly bad. Hold on, I'm just really pissed. Just watch the spoiler section if you want to know what I'm trying to say. I'm very disappointed in this show, and I really don't want to watch the next season because I hear they want at least 4 seasons for this dumpster fire of a show. Anyways, the final verdict for The Lord of the Rings of Power is a guilty. It's a guilty, damn it. It's a full-on, fiery, guilty show. That's it. They just ruined my childhood with this show. There will be no scores given to this show because I don't give out scores to shows which are guilty. There's just no point. I can't believe this is what we're dealing with. This is the show that was supposed to bring back all the nice nostalgic memories of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and etc. But we are left with this dumpster fire. We just have to put up with this, and we have to just pretend that this is the best thing that they've ever put out. To Amazon, leave Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth, and Tolkien's work alone if you are going to condense a story that is supposed to be told over thousands of years in a few episodes. Please don't come anywhere near this intellectual property ever again. The end. Look, if you want to remain for the spoiler section, I'll leave the timestamp below, but as far as the spoiler-free version of the review is concerned, I am done. This wraps up our case. This was the Critical Advocate, an advocate by day and a critic by night. Till next time, Svidanya, Hudafis, and bye-bye. Okay, so Halbrand is Sauron. How boring and predictable. So there was no Anatar, the elvish form that Sauron takes on to corrupt the people. He is not the Lord of Gifts because he is wise, charismatic, and trusted over time and brings the people of Middle-earth the rings as gifts or anything like that. No, he takes on the form of a very unlikable human, Halbrand, who is not the Lord of Gifts but just a Lord that calls his dumb advice gifts. Also, how he contributes to the creation of the rings, the 3 elvish rings, is like this. This one is really good. Trust me, you need to brace yourself for this one. So basically, what he does is, he basically tells the greatest smith in all Middle-earth that, oh, you don't have enough mithril, right? Understandable. So hear me out. Have you tried mixing metals before? And Celebrimbor, instead of laughing in his face saying, of course you idiot, instead says, oh, you are brilliant, Halbrand. How could I not think of that? I know you just got hair bleeding out for 6 days, but can you help us forge the rings that would basically save us all from dying, pretty please? Halbrand is like, of course, with my superior mind and intellect, I will gladly. Like, what the hell? Galadriel is the one who brings him to the Elvish city. She's the one with all the grand plans, you see. So after no one believes her about Sauron's return, she is sent away on a boat to Valinor, or the Undying Lands. So before passing through, her best plan is to jump off the boat into the sea. Are you trying to tell me that she wanted to get back to Middle-earth by swimming? If she was in Titanic, I bet if she was on the ship, she would have shrugged her shoulders and be like, okay, I'll just swim back to the shore. And she would have survived that one. I'm sure of that. Because Galadriel is the one with the plans, you know. Then she finds Sauron by chance on a wrecked piece of wood. And that was, aha, Sauron's plan. He blew the boat up so he could be in the right place at the right time to meet up with Galadriel. I'm shocked at the sophisticated writing here. Then when she meets him, she tells him, oh, you are the king of men. He's like, no, if you are basing this off of the necklace I'm holding, then you're mistaken. Plus, I got it from a dead guy. The Southlands have no king. And she's like, nah, you're the king who will unite everyone against Sauron. Then in the end, she looks up his history like it's Google and finds out that the last king in the Southlands died and had no heir. She gets upset and confronts Halbrand and tells him, ooh, you deceiver Sauron. You are Sauron. And he's like, yeah, I'm Sauron. Without even justifying himself or trying to weasel himself out of it, he just admits it. He's like, yeah, I'm Sauron. I told you from the start that I'm no king. And she's like, no, you used your sorcery on me. And he's like, no, I literally told you the truth from the start. But then he's like, let's get married. And she's like, no. And then he runs away looking all evil with the custom hoodie that he made specifically to go to Mordor. And yeah, that's where we're left off at the end of the show. This is garbage. So Daniel Bryan is actually Gandalf, the wizard. As if anyone is shocked by this revelation. The hobbits are a bunch of assholes. They want to leave female Frodo and her family behind because her father broke his foot. No one wants to offer them help besides Gandalf. Then the Eminem looking elf shows up and is convinced that Gandalf is Sauron. Did they not do any of their research before? Why are they so convinced that he is Sauron? How and why are they led to believe that is never explained to us? They capture him and hype him up being Sauron. They tell him that you are the Sauron, you are the sorcerer and stuff like this. And he starts getting into the hype and stands up and conjures some winds around him being, oh yeah, I'm Sauron. And then they just knock him out. Just dumb storytelling. Then the hobbits save him and tell him that no, you are who you choose to be. So he responds with a laughable,
Yes, I'm good.
and then he kills Eminem and his 2 sidekicks. How stupid. Then in the aftermath, He somehow starts speaking fluently and resorts to being Gandalf the Wise by dropping wisdom bombs. What? Let me just say that wizards are not supposed to be in the Middle Earth at this time. They only appear in the Third Age. But Amazon wants to hurry the hell up and cram as many familiar faces into the show so that you keep watching, and also butchering their backstory. Simultaneously, we have a plot line for Elrond, to whom the High King of Elves has delegated the task to build a great forge with. Elrond says, let's ask the dwarves, who are very skilled at building things. So he seeks out the assistance of Durin, the prince dwarf of Khazad-dûm. So Durin does not want to talk to Elrond, but then does. Then during the building phase of the forge, the dwarves discover Mithril. Durin makes Elrond promise that he will not tell anyone of this Mithril element and gives him a piece as a gift. The High King and Celebrimbor both reveal to Elrond that the reason for building the forge was to discover Mithril, because it has this light inside which might extend the elvish lives. Without Mithril, elves will die. Basically, Elrond breaks his promise and asks Durin for help. Durin asks his father, but the father says no. Then he says no to Elrond. But then he sees a leaf get cured by Mithril, and then he realizes that, oh my god, my friend was right. So he says yes to Elrond. They start digging into the mines for Mithril, and then after they discover the mines, the father comes in like as if he caught his kid throwing a huge ass party, and that party was going out of hand. So he's like, shut this shit down immediately. And that's how they shut it down. So basically, a no to Elrond again. Did we need to make so many fake outs? It really got tiring after a while. Plus they have the most cringy moment ever due to them discovering the mine full of Mithril. We see a leaf fly down to the bottom where we see a Balrog awaken. The Balrog decides to engage the leaf in one-on-one combat and gets angry, indicating Amazon wants us to wait for the second season to watch more of the Balrog, who gets angry with leaves. The plotline with the elf and the healer and Adar is pretty cool, I must admit, because I enjoyed watching Adar, the elf that is the father of all orcs. That was pretty cool to watch. But the thing is, the plotline involves this kid who is the healer's son, and he's very unlikable. I don't know, he has this ancient weapon which later on is a key to opening the floodgates of the waterfall, and then which transforms or terraforms the Southlands into Mordor. The kid is annoying as hell. He has unlikable qualities. There's no growth in him throughout the show, apart from being on the elvish side now, because he taught him how to launch an arrow from the bow. There's a point in this storyline where the elf and his friends get captured by the orcs and Adar, but they make a plan to escape, during which they feel bad for a tree. So instead of running and informing the other elves of what is happening, they decide that we'll defend a tree and get killed. And they did. So the biggest crime the show makes is the fact that there are no twists or intriguing plot lines, just a bunch of time-killing gorgeous visuals. But that takes you so long before even that overstays its welcome. This is supposed to be the respect that Amazon wants to pay the fans of the original films, the books, and Tolkien's world. It is insulting. I would always rate the original trilogy here, the Hobbit trilogy here, and the Rings of Power nowhere. I don't like this show one bit because it has nothing going for it. Don't waste time on Lord of the Rings of Power. It's just gonna ruin your nostalgia of the old films and the books, and you'll just be disappointed. Thank you so much for watching the spoiler section. This is the Critical Advocate, an advocate by day and a critic by night. Till next time, the Svidanya, Khudafiz, and bye bye.
He is not Sauron. He is the other. He is...
I am good.